You never know when you're live, except for it says you're live. Anyway, we're live today. It is a podcast day, and I'm supposed to be driving right now, but we had a bit of a delay come up on me getting out of town. So I thought, well, great, I can do the live stream of the podcast and not just record it from the car. Anyway, so today we're going to do a live stream recording like we usually do. We got a little off our schedule on this with all of the stuff. On Monday, the building was delivered to my house, and I thought like there's a professional delivering it, tactical and Nighthawk are here to oversee it. We'll be fine. No, I was way too distracted to get anything done. Okay, so it's like back to normal for a minute, and then I jump in the car and start driving for a really long time. Hi, Oxy. Okay, so you guys ready for this one? I didn't even announce this on social. I was just like, whatever, I'm going to record it, and it'll be on YouTube. And then if I don't produce it until I get to my destination tonight, it's okay. At least I got one out, right? Okay, there we go. Oh, you know what's really annoying? I still haven't figured out how to turn off the metronome on GarageBand. And it's totally going right now. It's terrible. Come on. Oh, you mean like it's just like banging in my head? It's funny because I ended up on this one, like I had to reinstall GarageBand because it was all messed up. Now it's like it's all messed up for me. Okay, so then we go back to measure 4.5, measure 4, and then I get the YouTube up. By the way, if you have questions or comments, all caps, please. I may or may not be able to work them in, but I'll try. I always try. Okay, we're really going to do this now. Well, welcome to Living Free in Tennessee, where we talk about building the life you choose on your terms. Today is Monday, October 14th, 2020. Oh, wait, no, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. This is episode 355, but this is Monday's episode. And it was just really interesting here over the weekend. Holler Roast reached the crowdfunding campaign's goal. You know, the one where I was pre-selling coffee, right? And we had like 24 hours left in the campaign, and a friend of mine like asked me on Facebook, what's your next stretch goal? And the truth is I had things mapped out to 30,000 and we reached 30,000. But I did mention to her the next piece of equipment I'm going to need to add after that is a commercial bagger. And that friend was the one who tipped us over $34,000 yesterday. The other funny thing that's happening is the campaign's over, but the plugin hasn't quite turned off, and I'm afraid to touch it right now until I make sure I have all of my stuff exported just in case it makes the site blow up. Because as you know, from way back at the beginning of this campaign, the plugin, I don't know if it's just like COVID and nobody updating things or how it's built to begin with. I'm pretty sure it's how it's built to begin with. The plugin is kind of fussy, and it would be a real bummer to have to go back through my Gmail account for all the confirmations one by one and hope I didn't miss anybody. So I have already pulled out a bunch of the data, by the way, obviously, but the last like 4 days of data, I still need to make sure that's done. And then we'll pull the switch. That's what we're going to do before I hit the road today. Anyway, today I wanted to go back to a concept that we talked about around this time last year. That's the word of the year. And those of you new to the podcast probably weren't here for the advent of how that kind of started gently in the network, and grew just because Jenny was talking about Jenny Hill. If you're in our social groups, you'll know who she is because she interacts with people all the time. She just started talking about doing it for herself. And then other people started doing it. And other people started doing it. And I was like, well, maybe I should do that. So we talked about it online. I talked to her a little bit about how she does it. And basically the idea is you use one word to change your life for the better. And you just focus on that for the year. It's a very simple concept. It fits really well with my 3 things life strategic plan approach. So Jenny's been on the show about this, and I've included a link to that episode in the show notes. And she's been a rising star as we all watch her grow herself and change for the better. And I thought, well, let's do a little temperature check on how things are going. This month is a great time to do that because it's time to start thinking about your word of the year for 2021 already. If you start now, you'll probably settle on a word by about Christmas time, and then you can set your foundation to start 2021 with your new word. Of course, my word this year is grow. So we're going to check in today on how grow is going. Before we do that, though, I do have a couple things to say. One, tomorrow at 7 p.m. is a cybersecurity webinar with Andy Higginbotham, and it's at 7 p.m. It'll be a Zoom webinar. If you are a member, it's free. And what you do is you go to livingfreeintennessee.com. On the right-hand side, it says sign up for the webinar, and I have the honor system in place right now. If you're a member, you don't pay anything. If you're not a member, it's $50, and it's a checkbox, right? And you can just get signed up. Today, the email is going out with the Zoom link to y'all for tomorrow's webinar. And this is because I'll be driving through Kansas, probably when the webinar comes up. My trip got a little delayed today. And the reason it got delayed is not one I'll share, but some things changed about where I'm landing tonight. And I am going somewhere else first, just for my own personal safety. And I decided, well, I can leave a little later then and then have a bit of a longer driving day tomorrow. That means that if I'm unable to kick off the webinar, that Andy gets to kick off his own webinar. I expect it to be really awesome. And I'm glad that it will be recorded, but it's tomorrow at 7. If you haven't signed up, definitely get signed up right now. And if you can't make that, sign up anyway, because we will email a link to those who, in air quotes, participated so that they can see that. That said, my other announcement is that I'm on the road until at least Sunday right now to go get the coffee roaster and a little bit of training. Last thing, if you want to send feedback or stump the sauce questions, you can do that, Nicole at livingfreeintennessee.com, or go over to my website, livingfreeintennessee.com, click on contact, and guess what happens? What happens is the email goes to me. It's that simple. Like everybody else's contact form in the whole world that's working, right? Okay, with that, it's time for our main segments of today's show, Tales from the Prepper Pantry. This is where we talk about storing what you eat and eating what you store. It's a concept that seems very simple to me, but I still get a lot of questions about it. And a friend of mine mentioned the other day that my concept of loading from the back and taking from the front, like she's just now kind of getting that fully understood and dialed in. And I thought, it seems really simple to me because that's what they do at the grocery store, right? You have a row of peas and the new peas come in and you pull stuff off the shelf, put stuff in the back that's new, and put the older stuff in front. They do that with the milk. That's why you always look for the milk in the back, right? If you want to have your milk last as long as possible. And if you're able to integrate a similar approach in your pantry, which it can be side to side's easier, or if you have shelves that you can literally go to the back and load from the back, that's kind of cool. I have a friend who has a big old basement and rows of shelves. And so you can, if you walk to the back side, you put in from the back. And then you don't have to actually pull stuff out, put stuff in, and put stuff back. But I think we've been taught when we are storing food against possible shortages or power outages or whatever, that you have your stored food and then you have your food that you eat. Well, that's stupid, right? What if you stored what you eat? Then if you're in a situation where you need to eat what you store, you know what'll happen? You will not be miserable eating stuff you don't like. So it's funny how people store things they don't actually like to eat. And granted, if that's your only choice, that's what you're going to store. That's what you're going to eat, right? It's better to eat something you don't like than not to have anything to eat at all. But why not set up yourself for a much more pleasant, I need to eat what I store thing by just always eating what you store and storing what you eat. And then it's just part of life. And some cool things happen when you do that. Like when something's on sale that you store, like I like smoked oysters and some people don't. I like them. If I see them on sale, I'll grab a case. And I know a case will last me about half a year. So that's fine. Grab a case, throw it in there. eat the ones that are left, bring those out, and then I don't have to worry about it. And I got it for a slightly cheaper price. So that's just, it's one of the many reasons I do that. Also because we grow our food and I can our food, and then you end up with food stored. At this time of year in the prepper pantry, I have a lot of food stored, and we're shifting to using it again. So you kind of goes through, like, if you're living off of your homestead, half the year you're putting things in and the other half of the year you're taking things out. That's not entirely true. Like, I'll put more meat in the winter than I do in the summer, but from a vegetable and canned goods standpoint and dried herbs and that sort of thing, that all comes spring through now. And by now, I mean, we're about to get a freeze. And so that's it. That's all she wrote. So this week, here's what's going on. I'm going on a 5-day road trip, I think, or 3-day. It just depends on how long it takes me. And I have been eating keto, fairly focused, because I'd like to drop another 10 to 20 pounds. I dropped 20 pounds earlier this year. And so, relying on restaurant closures and openings in other states where I don't understand what's up with their whole shutdown situation is not fun. Plus, one of the states I'm going to is kind of shut down, kind of very shut down. And I just decided I'm packing all my food for this trip. I stay keto because if I don't have it, I can't eat it. So I won't go to a restaurant and have French fries because I'm emotion eating because I'm on the road and I'd rather be at home. And B, it's actually pretty good on the budget. It keep me on keto and be good on the budget because I'm not buying food at a restaurant. So here's what I packed. I pre-cooked a bunch of bacon. And so I can have bacon and hard-boiled eggs for breakfast. I usually have bacon and eggs for breakfast. I have celery sticks and carrot sticks. And some people will say, well, carrot sticks aren't keto. It is if you don't eat 90 of them. And, I'm on the road. If I don't stay exactly under 20 carbs, I'm not going to worry about it that much. I'm just trying to stay out of, the chocolate and potato chips realm. I have a salad. So last night was Jenny's night to cook, and she sent down salmon and spinach and some other stuff. It was really good. I couldn't finish it all. So I ate half that salmon patty, and I have a bunch of lettuce and spinach here. So I'm just going to have a salmon salad with the leftovers. It was supposed to be lunch today. It may still be lunch today. We'll see. I'm not leaving till about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So I might eat it before I leave. Then I don't have a dirty dish with me. And then I have other charcuterie. Yes, I did, Tactical. And you're on my podcast. Everybody, this is Tactical. I'll just have to tell him right now that he is on the podcast. And I have to go back and edit that now. I don't even remember what I was talking about, because this is what it means when I don't put my phone on silent. Then, when I don't put my phone on silent while recording the podcast, Tactical ends up on the podcast. And I did put the order in, so it's too late. But you guys can put a second order in, and I'm going to let you figure that out after my podcast. Okay, now I'm going to stop recording and go back. Doo-doo.
Yes, I made it on the podcast.
Actually, he just made it on YouTube. I'm going to cut him out of the podcast. Doo-doo-doo. I hope that made you guys laugh. Let's see. Jaggy. So my word of the year, Jaggy's was probably, oh no, only with a bad word. Where was I, guys? I was talking about packing food, and I don't know. Somebody help me out in comments here, man. I don't even know. Chocolate and potato chips is what I'm hearing in my headset right now. I think yeah, Oxy, I think the Holler Neighbors will take over when I'm gone. That's what they're going to have to do. If you're watching, Hitler, the creator of the new header image of the YouTube channel, is on. You stopped and Jack said something. No, it was Tactical. Jack doesn't talk to me on Zello. Oh, here it is. Oh, I was telling you about the charcuterie platter I did. We do this thing called charcuterie breakfast here, by the way. And it's pretty good. You split regions at Playhead. You delete all that mess. Okay. So basically what we did all summer long was whatever was ripe, like sliced it up and put it on a big cutting board, and then I fried a couple eggs and put some bacon on there, and we ate mostly vegetables from the garden that way, like tomatoes and cucumbers and whatever. It was really good. Anyway, so what I was telling you was about summer sausage and other charcuterie. And then I have other charcuterie to bring with me, like summer sausage and broccoli with butter and canned oysters and all sorts of stuff. And then of course I brought one cheat. I brought a can of soup in case I want something hot, and I have a camp stove, of course, because if you're going on a trip to pick up a coffee roaster, you totally have to bring mobile coffee roasting equipment, right? So I have I have coffee and cream for that, and then I have the camp stove, and I have a mini presso to make espresso shots. So I'll be well caffeinated on this road trip, and if I want to use it to cook something, I totally can. The other thing that's going on with the prepper pantry is today we harvested the rest of the dryable herbs. That's lemon balm and basil and mint. And they're going to be hung up. They're in the process of being hung up right now because a real freeze is coming. And we also that means we need to get the sweet potatoes out of the ground. So that's next on the list. I don't have to handle that because I'm going on the road. That's all Tactical and Nighthawk. They are also in the process of putting a roof on the building. So roof is on, but there is more work to be done there. I did notice, so I think I talked to y'all last quarter about freezer reorganization, and I actually made a spreadsheet tracker so I know what's in there, which is like next level freezer tracking. If you just like start with a freezer, don't try to do it that way. Just start by putting stuff in it in an organized way, like things with like things. And, you know, over time, you can kind of write it down on a piece of paper that you hang on the freezer. And then eventually you get into the whole spreadsheet thing, maybe. Just depends, like you do you. But what I've noticed is when the freezer is full, even with that level of organization in there, things get stirred around because people can't see where things are. So a half full freezer is a lot easier to keep track of than a full freezer. And that means that I'm up to an every 2 to 2.5 months need to reorganize the freezer. I used to do it 2 times a year, sometimes only 1 time a year. But that said, doing it more often makes it a lot faster, and we're wasting a lot less of the things that get forgotten in the bottom left-hand corner of my chest freezer. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that I'm hearing online about holiday food shortages. The rumor is that we're going to not have enough of the holiday type foods like turkey and cranberry sauce going into Thanksgiving and Christmas. And so if you want holiday foods, better go get them now. And backing that up, people are saying, I can't find canned pumpkin, or I can't find this or that. And you know what? That might be true. It might not be true. I do not know. But I wanted to say, I'm not sure that that should be the impetus for you to go out and buy a bunch of holiday foods that you want. Like maybe if there's something you really want, like pecans, go get them. I don't know. But then shouldn't you have been storing that anyway? That's my question. So we could have shortages. I expect there to be disruptions in delivery as we go into the winter. Most of the people in the food industry have said, yeah, we have less this year than we've had other years. And that could be an issue, right? But if you find yourself in a situation where Thanksgiving is coming and there are holiday food shortages and you can't get a turkey, what do you think you might want to do? Cook something else. Thanksgiving doesn't have to be turkey. I mean, I know people like turkey, but you can cook a ham. You can cook steaks. You can have meatloaf. Whatever. I mean, you've all heard the story about my grandmother when she grew up in the Depression. And one Christmas, her parents couldn't afford anything, and the neighbors slaughtered a pig. And they felt bad for my grandma's family, 6 kids. So they gave them the pig's heart. And her mom cooked it up, and she said it was the best Christmas dinner she's ever had. So holiday meals aren't about if it's the turkey or the chestnut dressing, right? Or the pumpkin pie. It's about the family time. It's about celebrating each other, right? It's about taking that time to to be with each other. It doesn't matter what you eat. So that was my thought on that food shortage. Next segment is Operation Independence. This is where we talk about building ongoing, more stable revenue into our lives. And I got to say, guys, I have not been looking for ways to reduce my cost in the last few weeks here by fixing things myself. I have not had time to fix things myself. I've almost managed to keep my house from becoming a complete clutter nightmare again after getting it decluttered. It's kind of cluttery right now, but not too bad. It's cluttery in front though, because what I'm doing is none of the boxes for Hollow Roast are allowed past my front door right now. And they're going in the building when the building's done. So instead, it's all been about the Kickstart Hollow Roast project. That's where 100% of my time's been in. And the cool thing that's happened is some people have come and traded labor for coffee. So that's kind of neat. And, anytime you can barter is a good time. I'm really increasing my focus on doing projects for cryptocurrency, which one of my $1,000 backers at kickstarthollowroast.com paid in crypto. They said, will you take Bitcoin? And I said, of course I'll take Bitcoin. And then one of the people that came out to do work on the shed project said, well, do you want to pay me in Bitcoin? I was like, of course. Somebody backed in Bitcoin and I just paid in Bitcoin, and that's that. Done. Right? And then the other part of just bartering with each other works. It works. And the more we can do that, the more we develop these tight relationships, these trusting relationships in the LFTN network, right? And you find you can barter for more and more and more things. And that becomes value created, but money not earned. Value created for both people, right? But money not earned. And money you never earned is hard to tax. It's hard to tax. So look into that. You don't want to barter when you need the money to pay the electric bill, right? Then you're like, yeah, I just kind of need to do this for money. But if you already know you're going to buy coffee, and I already know that I need somebody to rake the leaves in my lawn and I'm not going to be able to, trade coffee for raking. If you're a really good cake maker and you make beautiful birthday cakes and somebody else is able to fix plumbing, birthday cake for plumbing. That's the fastest way to start. Somebody asked me for my barter spreadsheet. I don't have one, but I'm going to start needing one soon. There are actually websites that basically coordinate barter credits, but at that point we're now working for money again, right? But anyway, it's I just wanted to put that out there. Operation Independence for you and for me may look like figuring out how to trade when you can. Figure out where, it keeps you in a lower tax bracket. Just saying. Well, maybe it does. Depends on how much you earn. Okay. With that, it's time for the main content of today's show, and that is grow as the word of a year. In the introduction, I explained a little bit about what the word of the year is. This is my first time doing a word of the year this year. Before then, what I've done is I have a life strategic vision, a vision for where I want my life to go. And that vision is not a destination. It's a way I want it to be. And then from there, I have 3 things I know I need to do, 3 strategies, 3 big strategies to have that kind of life. One of which for me has been, and it's been ongoing for about 8 years as I've focused here, a financial focus of stable revenue that I control, local preferably, so I'm not dependent on working for somebody for 100% of my income. And then better personal finance decisions, because I spent the early part of my life not making good financial decisions. I wish I had, but I didn't. And you can spend, if you're in that situation where you didn't, you can waste a lot of time being mad at yourself for not, or you can decide to change. And I did about 8 years ago, I decided to change, and I've knocked out, I basically don't pay interest anymore. I still have debt, but I don't pay interest anymore, and I will be debt free well before retirement at this rate. So And guys, I was on a trajectory to be one of those people on Social Security paying all my Social Security for freaking debt, by the way. It was not a pretty thing. So when I looked at what was going on with Jenny last year, and she was saying, okay, so I'm looking at my journals because she writes in a journal for the last year, and my word was this, and now I'm trying to choose a new word. And just what she does is she journals on a regular basis and then picks out where she wants, like this is stuff that's going well, this is stuff that's not going well. And then the not going well, what can I change about me that impacts the not going well? Not what needs to change in the universe. What can I change about me? And that's not an easy question to ask. And when you ask yourself questions like that, it's not an easy question to answer. And the answer today may be different tomorrow. So she's already now working on what she wants her 2021 word to be. And what she has accomplished from when she first started doing this to now is she's eliminated debt. She has found a new career, done the training for the career, gotten that career. She has left an unacceptable marriage and is out on her own, raising 2 boys. And she has lost, I don't know, a lot of weight. She's lost a lot of weight and she's getting exercise. So her eating habits are healthy, her exercise habits are healthy, and she has just bloomed from not only where she was, where, it was not the best of times for her. She's bloomed into a person who's not only doing better and going down a great path, she's empowering everybody to do it with her. Right? And the more people we have like that in the world, the better world we can have. And so I did put a link to the episode that I interviewed Jenny on. I think you'll love her story. If you're new to this podcast, definitely hit the show notes and go listen to that episode. But the word of the year, guys, it's time. If you haven't been journaling after this episode, I don't care how busy you are, take a pen, take a pad of paper, and even if it's only one paragraph, write down something. Write down something. And we'll debate if you can do that in typing or writing. That's you do you on that. I prefer writing with a pen on actual paper. Other people are able to do that typing. If there's something about that connection to my right hand from the brain that really reaches an emotional level. And don't be afraid to be like, yeah, I had a crappy day at work today and this and that and blah, 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 blah. But if you do that, ask yourself what could have made it different today. And maybe you don't have the answer, but just start writing and figure out the questions you're going to want to do to figure out is what is the vision I have for my life? What do I want it to be like? Do I want to be working 9 to 5? Some people do. I know people who work 40 hours a week and come home and never have to deal with work again. And they put their time in and then they have all this free time. I know other purple people. I know other people who work really hard and they do a job they love. And so their life is their work and their work is their life. They've basically turned things they enjoy into an income that sustains them. It doesn't matter what you choose. It could be you want to live in the country. It could be you just want somewhere where it's peaceful and really gets dark at night. Like figure those things out. Start writing about that, right? And then look at yourself now. Talk to yourself about yourself. Talk to yourself about yourself and say, self, how am I doing? It's really hard to go to the gym. How am I going to get myself to go to the gym? Oh, maybe I'm not. Maybe I should just admit I'm not. Maybe I should admit I'm not and start taking an hour every day and going for a walk, right? So those are the kind of conversations you need to get honest with yourself. Take the time to do this. If you just set a timer, 20 minutes a day, you can do 20 minutes a day. Come on. You do 20 minutes a day on social. I know you do. If you can do 20 minutes a day on social, you can do 20 minutes a day in a journal or writing it on your phone or writing it on your computer. Anyway, and then ask yourself, What could I change about my world or myself that will help me get one step closer to how I want my life to be? What can I change? What do I need to do? Do I need more freedom? That's Jenny's word. Freedom was her word this year. Do I need healing? Do I need to grow? Do I need to be more understanding of other people? Maybe if your problem is that you're impulsive, do I need to learn how to take pause? Just start thinking about all the different possibilities and then sometime by about Christmas, choose one. And as we flip over Christmas into the new year, start pursuing that word. What I did, I had this big old, I think I put a picture of it up over the weekend. I had this wooden sign made that was supposed to go on the wall above my bed, but I don't know how to hang it. And I haven't spent the time figuring out how to hang it. So I have it arranged on my buffet instead. And it says grow. And it's just a visual reminder that my word this year is grow. That was the theme of our LFTN 2020 workshop, right? I've got somebody on the YouTube live stream saying their word for 2021 will hopefully be enjoy. Dude, just make that your word. Think about it though. What does that mean for your life when you enjoy? Because for every word you choose, love, whatever, no matter how positive it is, there's another side to that word. And as we all move forward in our lives, usually progress with progress, before progress comes pain. So then let's talk about grow a little bit. Grow was my word in 2020. Grow can mean so many things. And I'm going to share with you how we did by quarter. It can mean grow food. It can mean grow your business. It can mean grow yourself. Hopefully not wider, right? But grow for me was all of those things. I knew that I had been sort of comfortably going along at the same pace, and it was time to grow. I knew that I hadn't been doing great jobs with the plants I like to grow. I needed to grow them. And I knew that I have internal struggles. We all have internal struggles, right? And I needed to grow myself spiritually and mentally. So grow was a good fit for me. Let's see how we're doing. Quarter one. So I started the year. I had my sign made. I had a plan for financial growth and business growth. I had all of that. I started keto to lose weight because I would like to weigh less than I weigh. And I lost 20 pounds. I was like hitting the pool once or twice a week and the gym, because those are two different directions in the universe. And I was making sure I got on walks every so often and eating right, cut out the alcohol because that's a lot of calories. 20 pounds gone. Like 5 or 6 of them in that first week. And that's all water, guys, or mostly water. But it was a dramatic change. My coffee business is always slow right after Christmas because people buy, give. And then they have all this coffee to use up, right? So despite that, my coffee business, Holly Roast Coffee, was up about 20% in quarter one as we got into it. And I had corporate facilitations booked. One of, I guess, new podcast listeners, one of the things I do is I travel to corporations and I give them in-person facilitations while they figure out their strategic marketing positions to go sell products or whatever it is that they're doing. Ideas. It just depends on what they are. My Living Free in Tennessee 20 workshop sold out really fast. And we decided to launch this new concept of having a few webinars every year for Living Free in Tennessee members in the membership portal, because I've been very thankful for the support of members, but I felt like I needed to bring more value. And Sue Zoldak came up with the first 3 and did the first 3 just about how to be seen online, how to dial in your content so it's better for search engine optimization, how to do Facebook advertising, stuff like that. So we had that all launched and it was being really well received. And the thing about that idea, guys, is it was an idea that we did a proof of concept and now it's sort of Now we have it into, we're going to do monthly webinars, and there's a premium and a basic level of membership, and you can get 3 a year, or you can get all of them unlimited for the rest of your life, right? Or for the rest of your membership period. And that was all just going really well. And then pow, right across the face, a slap. And I saw it coming. I was already talking to people about, like, don't panic about the COVID in February, early February. And they're like, you got to get stocked up. I'm like, I am stocked up. I'm a prepper. I'm fine. Right. But then I thought, maybe I better talk to people about it. And I called around to all my relatives, and some of them were and some of them weren't. And I was like, you know what? Just make sure you have enough that if you need to stay home for 6 weeks, for whatever reason, you can cover it. And they did. In one case, it was the day before everything got shut down and you could find nothing, that they got it done, which I'm thankful for. But here's what happened. When we went into like COVID halts the progress of everything in the country, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Remember that 6 months ago? This was really, for me, Q2. I know it was already happening the last month of Q1, but we got hit hard April. Going into April, I pretty much thought we'd still be okay. It was like the last couple weeks of March. I was telling people at the workshop, we're still doing this workshop. It's outside, for goodness sakes, right? 100% of my corporate facilitations, which, by the way, used to represent half my income, gone. 50% of my income went away in a flash. And I'm not the only one who had an experience like this, right? Guys, that's really hard on the ego. It's really hard on the ego, because you're like, am I worthless? Like, I could do this online. Nobody wants to do it online. Everybody's too busy, like, shutting down, not sure what to do next. Businesses were frozen because they didn't know if the government was going to come in and crack down or not. And they were then suddenly keeping reserves. You know what goes when you're keeping reserves? Harder to have a marketing budget. Advertising budgets went down, all of that. That's the environment. Ultimately, I ended up delaying the Living Free in Tennessee April workshop because hotels were threatening not to let my people stay at the hotels. Now, most people camp here, but we have people flying in from Seattle, from Portland, Oregon, from Pennsylvania, from all over the place, from New York, who stay in hotels. It's not easy to fly with all your camping gear. It's possible, but it's not easy. A lot of times when people are coming that far, they do not camp. I have to say, though, I recommend camping if you're able to, because you get to stay up later with everybody. But that's just an aside on the workshop. So all of the corporate facilitations were canceled. The workshop, which I had already spent all the money, or most of the money, on the workshop before this happened, but didn't get, because you pay a deposit and then you pay the rest when you get here. Yeah. So that was a little painful. My coffee flatlined. Last 2 weeks of March and like first little bit of April, my coffee went completely to zero. And I was completely stunned. And the first hurdle I had to get over was me, my mental state. I was scared of the virus, even though I didn't think it would be as big as they said it would be. I was scared of what was going to happen to the economy. I was scared there was going to be rioting. And I had no idea what to do next for my business. And I'd look at that word grow every day, and I'd be like, how can I grow? The only thing that was going well at that point, guys, is I had decided that grow meant I should grow lettuce inside for the winter. And one of the first things to be gone around here, besides the toilet paper, paper towel, sterilization stuff, were fresh vegetables that don't last very long, like lettuce. And I was able to produce 100% of the green, fresh vegetable needs for 3 of us in the holler off of my cracky lettuce grow operation in my kitchen. It started with mason jars, and then I quickly went to trays, and then I started hearing about COVID, and I was like, well, at this point, I'm trying to start 20 heads of lettuce a week, because they're smaller. And that was going well. When the shutdowns happened, Oh, there's a question from Facebook. Microgreens. Yes, I did microgreens too. Those grow in like 7 days. Sprouts grow in like 4 days. That's the fastest way to get vegetable if you have the seeds for it. Anyway, when the shutdowns happened in Tennessee, which was the first 2 weeks of April, not in March, I was like, we don't have to leave. I don't even want to go out there anymore. But I went into overdrive because the other thing that happened is I looked at y'all. I looked at the network and I saw people with lots of questions about how to do pantry management, how to bake bread without yeast, how to make cheese, how to move forward in life if everything has changed, right? Very suddenly, which it did. And so in April, we did a weekly webinar. I started the side hustle working group because I had a number of people reach out whose jobs just went into furlough. And that's the perfect time to start a side hustle. So I started saying, okay, I'm going to ask myself this. This is the bad situation. What can I do? What can I do to move forward? Every time. And then I tried to ask that question on behalf of people who reached out to me. The side hustle working groups, I don't know if they're still meeting, but they kept meeting for a bit afterwards. And a lot of people, what they basically are is people getting on a call monthly or regularly and status update. This is where we are going. Hey, we need to focus on this topic of marketing. Next call, let's arrange to have somebody on about marketing. And it was a way to have some accountability in starting your side hustle and other people in a similar situation off of whom you can bounce ideas. Because I find when I'm building anything, having somebody to bounce ideas off of is imperative. The kickstarthollyroast.com project would not have been as successful as it was or have the perks that it had I not bounced those ideas off some people who were willing to really dig in and talk with me about it, right? I mean, the initial list of perks is completely different than what we launched with. And the final list of perks that we launched with was done while I was recording Unloose the Goose in here. And Mama Sauce and Nighthawk were like, okay, let's really look at these from a consumer standpoint. Is this what we would want as perks? Okay. I could hear them in the background talking for the whole time I was recording Unloose the Goose. It was kind of cool. So I went into hyper overdrive and I suddenly realized I had to make choices. One, I had to admit that corporate facilitation is a thing of my past. Am I willing to do them in the right situation? Yes. But I didn't see corporate facilitations coming back anytime at the rate I like to get paid to justify hiring somebody to take care of this place so I can go out of town, first of all. And now I have to hire somebody to make sure coffee happens. And I'm the only person who can roast right now, right? So I had to just admit that was going away. And, if an opportunity came up, I could address it at the time. I had to make a big choice about which of my business endeavors, because I've had many going on for a long time, were the most important for me to focus on, and then make decisions about what to resupply. So here we are. Hollow Roast is flatlined. Lots of people are into the webinars in April because they're home and can watch them. And I had to decide, do I just go full on webinar crazy, right? Or do I grow the coffee business? And that was a choice I had to make. And the biggest thing was I had to decide if I was willing to put $5,000 out to get green coffee beans in, because it was time for a resupply, or if I wanted to pay more per pound and get less in. And I reached out to another coffee roaster in the area and was like, hey, do you want to go halvesies on a pallet? And he kind of disappeared. So I was like, okay, that means too busy and not right now, Nicole. So I made the decision, even though I did not have the sales to get those coffee beans. I had to make choices on where to focus. Q2 was all about choices. I had to make choices about what to do with the spring workshop, which was supposed to happen earlier in Q2. It happened later in Q2. And because we moved it, we lost about 10 attendees. And I had to decide if I still wanted to try to sell those seats, which I did, but it was just so nutsoids that, some of them sold, some of them didn't. We were down about 10 people for that event. And I had to make choices, and this was the hardest one, about my own mental and physical health. And the cool thing about Q2 is I did get out every single day and walk. I was not able to go to the pool. Pool was closed. I was not able to go to the gym. My gym is now out of business. But when they went out of business, they sold a rower and I bought a Concept 2. I have a Concept 2 here now. And I knew I could at least go for a walk every day. And because we were eating what we stored and I was not keto friendly with what we stored, I was eating some more carbs. And I did not gain weight. I watched other people complain about the COVID-15. Nah, not a thing. That was not a thing here. Not a problem. Luckily. So we had the workshop and the chemistry of the attendees at the workshop was the best it's ever been. And it was sort of like a lot of times it's raucous and there's like singing and la la da, like people just having a good time. And that happened. But it wasn't quite as raucous as in former years. And I was worried people weren't having fun. Turns out they were. What they were having were deep conversations. And I realized as part of the workshop, we all turned a corner. The first half of this year, we were living in a kind of an angsty space in our community. And it doesn't mean we don't have worries now, but big picture angsty because it's really scary to watch your whole culture change, right? And that is what's happening right now. But we turned a corner. It was a quiet walk around the corner. And the biggest decision I made in Q2 was screw it. My word is grow. I'm going to grow. Q3, I realized the enormity of the Living Free in Tennessee Spring Workshop financial hit. It wasn't insurmountable, but I lost money on that event because that 10 people who couldn't make it made a big difference. And do I regret doing the workshop? No, because we all turned the corner. And the one thing I know from a long-term success standpoint for our network and for this podcast and for all that we do is having the stability of that annual event is a cornerstone. That's where people meet each other and start businesses together or help each other start businesses. That's where people come who may need to change something about themselves and they're not sure what it is and they realize it while they're there. That's where people come to learn hard skills like how to slaughter and process a chicken, how to make cheese, how to just water bath can something without worrying about poisoning your family, right? Hard skills, but that spiritual, soft thing that happens with people is very important. And it happened for me stronger than it's ever happened before. So I did an episode about turning the corner that I'll put a link in the show notes to as well. And I had the chance because John Pugliano came to the workshop and gave a presentation. He was here a few days early. I had a heart-to-heart with him about like all of the balls I was juggling and, what do I want to be when I grow up sort of thing. And for those of you who don't know, I've been talking to John about things like this since the day I met him because I've needed somebody who doesn't like Mama Sauce loves me like my mom, right? And she's very supportive, great to run ideas off. I needed somebody from outside, right? Outside the group to say, okay, this is what I'm seeing. And from day one, John has been going, Nicole, coffee, 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 coffee. And so I had to make a decision. I'd already decided to let corporate facilitation go. I had to decide how much further I wanted to take the coffee. And I toured Black Rifle Factory actually before COVID and decided I didn't want to run that kind of a factory. It's huge. It's really cool. It's huge though. And they have lots of employees that they need to manage. And if I do that, then my time will be spent managing the employees unless I have somebody by my side who does that for me and I get to be the creative energy. That almost never happens, by the way. And I don't have that person. So no, not doing it. Plus I really like the craft small boutique product. I like the relationships with the customers, all of that. And when I did that podcast about how we'd all turn that corner, which was right at the beginning of Q3, John Willis at SOE Tactical, Special Operations Equipment, I don't know why it's called SOE Tactical, but it's special operations equipment. But anyway, it must be like a username he had. I'm not sure. Someday one of y'all is going to tell me that story. Um, he reached out and he said, "Hey, I listened to that episode. What do you think about maybe doing an SOE coffee?" I was like, "That'd be great. What do you like?" He told me what he liked. It's like, "Okay, can I come out next week and, you know, we'll taste some coffee?" So I might have been 2 weeks. I can't remember. I may have been out of town in there. Drove out, did a tasting, and it was really funny because I couldn't get the kinds of coffee cones I wanted, so I just used funnels. I had 1 cone and 3 funnels. Now I have plenty of cones. And we tasted coffee, and they chose one, and then he kinda showed me what he was gonna do, and I was like, "Sounds great." And then they ordered 120 pounds to resell, which were gone within a week. Um, and for me, that scale of order was a pretty big deal. It also showed me because I when I delivered the coffee, because they're close enough, I can just drive there or I can ship it. But it's like a day at the Willis's is a day where I see people who get it, right? And so for me, it's great to be around people who get it. They get that you work hard on your business. They, you know, very quick-minded, but also proactive and positive. It's not like, "Oh, woe with me, the world is ending," which you see a lot in failing businesses. It's, "What are we doing next? What are we doing next? What are we doing next?" Right? And I like to be around that kind of energy. So if I get to spend an hour or 2 there when I'm delivering product, it's worth the drive for me. So, um, delivered it. And while I was there, he's like, "What's next?" And I was like, "Well, I know I need a bigger roaster." This was in July, guys. I know I need a bigger roaster because this just took me for pretty much 4 straight days of roasting. I was doing other orders, but 4 straight days from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed, I was roasting coffee or packaging coffee. And I could have brought somebody in to help me package it, but I was just doing this one. And around that time, we started Unloose the Goose. And it started taking off and coffee sales were going up. And around that time, I finally got to this point where I was like, my biggest struggle in quarter 2 was me. Just deciding, choosing where to focus, choosing if I should take the risk and resupply higher than I thought I'd need, choosing my physical health, choosing my mental health. This quarter, I'm going to take that to the next level. I got my butt back on the rower. I decided to start seeing a counselor about some things that I need to work through that, I'm working through 'em. We'll talk about that at some other time probably. I'm not gonna go too deep in that. I don't wanna share my crap with y'all. But I was like, "You know what? When I need a trainer, I hire somebody at CrossFit to show me how to lift right so I don't get hurt. I'm gonna make sure my brain is working right." And then on my busiest week of August, my roaster caught on fire. That was really cool. We'd had a chimney fire once that was my fault, and then I was like, "Oh, you have to sweep the chimney, duh." Like I do that for my wood stove, why wouldn't I do that for the roaster chimney? Um, didn't even think about it. Sometimes we're dumb and we don't think about things. Had a roaster fire, and it took me days of cleaning every part in that roaster of the creosote crap that was on it that would make coffee taste terrible to get it up and running. Like, long enough to see which part wasn't working right, which was the blower, and if the beans aren't moving and there's heat under them, they catch on fire. They actually turn into a giant, like, glowing set of coals. I think there's now a building on top of where I threw out the glowing set of coals when I came in and discovered we had a fire. And that worked really well, except for I had to wait, like, what? It took me 2 weeks to get all the way up and running, and it was really frustrating because orders were coming in, and my coffee of the month orders were late that month, and I was trying to communicate with people, but I was also really busy trying to get the roaster back together and working. It was really hard. And during that time, I thought about Christmas and volume. I thought about what we did with SOE Tactical and John Willis. And I thought I need a bigger roaster. And I thought, well, let's see what happens. So I started talking to people like Jack Spirko and John and Patrick over at MT Knives and a couple other people about, okay, so like the Humble Mechanic, if I do this Kickstarter thing, would you mind telling your network about it? Because I'll tell my network, but if you tell your network, it's good for me. And they were all like, yeah, cool. And so I get everything all written up on Kickstarter, and they say no. They say no because one of their terms is you have to be launching a product for the backing or a new concept. And I was like, okay, so is it not clear that I'm pre-selling coffee to get enough upfront capital to pay for a roaster to roast the coffee? And they said, well, I can see that, but you talk about this roaster fire too much. Okay, here's the thing. Marketing 101. You show the pain so that people want to see the gain. It's that simple. The best part of why I'm upgrading my roaster is that my roaster caught on fire. I'm like, what? No. So I thought, I'm a web developer. I'll build a website. It'll be easy. Famous last words. I usually say, I'll just blah, blah, blah. Anything that comes after I'll just usually takes me like 9 times longer. So you guys have all heard that story. Like there was a whole bunch of technical stuff, but we launched the Kickstarter. I did a beta launch and just let a few people know, and we funded. Well, then Willis is like, this is what John does to me. What's next? I was like, well, I had stretch goals in mind. I guess I better start rolling those out now. And, at the end of the rainbow was a building to put it all in, and we made it. That was all pretty much in Q3. Unloose the Goose has been exploding in listenership. And my podcast has gone up 20% in listenership, I think directly related to Unloose the Goose. And all of that growth has happened. And I almost got sick again because I've just been working all the time and not stopping. And so I started doing these YouTube morning walk things, A, because you have to go on a walk to do one. And it just keeps me honest. And B, because everybody needs a break. You need time to mentally process stuff. And a good way to do that is take that morning walk, right? So now here we are in what's grow mean for Q4. So Q3 went from holy crap, I've gone backwards, by the way, to more growth than I will admit that the amount of the Kickstarter is more than a single year of revenue for Hollow Roast has been in the past. Not bad, huh? That's exciting. That really is. It's getting the roaster, it's getting the grinder, it's getting a bagger now where it automatically weighs it and I don't have to manually weigh it and it falls into the bag. It's got the building. The building's already here, and Nighthawk and Tactical are busy putting it all back together because we had to take the roof off to move it. It's getting a hood. It's getting a cooling table. A lot of that quote unquote profit from the coffee is paying for all of that. But at the same time, I've now seen what sales look like at that level. And now I'm asking myself, how can I keep that momentum? Because usually what happens when you do crowdfunding is you crowdfund and then things fall back. We don't need that to happen, do we? So now we're getting ready to launch a weekly coffee video that's just, taste different coffee drinks. We're getting ready to launch holiday offerings. We have a pretty cool sample pack. It's a little different than last year's coming out. We're getting ready to do some big changes on the website. So what's happened is as a result of Grow, we are really focused on coffee and podcast here. Coffee, podcast, webinars, corporate facilitation's gone. I still work with people on websites as part of the overall coaching. And we love building websites. I do outsource most of the web development work right now because of everything going. I had to choose something, and I've got some really good people I work with. Josh over at Get a Host Now, and my buddy Scott at Liberty Lab. They do a good job, and so we work as a team. But they do most of the heavy lifting on those right now. So Q4, what does it look like? We've got coffee to produce. We got holiday coffee. We have Kickstart Hollow Roast coffee. We have the podcast to grow. I'd like to see my podcast grow another 20% and also unloose the goose. I think we're onto something here with that. Webinars, we've got them scheduled out for the rest of the year. We're doing pressure canning in November. And then personal growth. I'm really digging in on the thing I need to address finally. I spent like 2 months with a psychologist avoiding the question pretty much, and I've actually started the process I need to start. We have an election coming up. It's the most important election of our lifetime, right? Just like it was last time and just like it'll be next time. And we have to choose between socialism and fascism because those are the choices we're being given, right? Even though they are two sides of the same coin. I wish I had a coin here. I just have a little plug-in cube. They're two sides of the same coin. That's not a choice. But we have the election. And that is what is, right? That's the environment we're in. We are looking at one side or the other side being unhappy. And it doesn't really matter which side is unhappy. At this point, it doesn't matter who wins. There is very, 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 very likely going to be a violent, riotous reaction to whoever wins from the side who didn't want that person to win. We have a foundation being set for civil war. We have media talking about people seceding from the union. There's a lot of foundation being set here. I don't know if that'll happen, but it's a risk. And I bring that all up because my word this year is grow. And we might be having a civil war. Ah! No, that's not why. Because that is the environment in which I must grow. That's why. And so what we're doing here, launching the new subscriber portal for Living Free in Tennessee. It's taken a really long time to get that thing done. Launching the VIP portal at hollowroast.com. That will take less time. Christmas coffee packages growing 20%. I see on the live stream that Jaggy's offering to share with his network my podcast. Yes, anybody who wants to help me grow, just share the podcast. If there's one episode you really like, explain why and share it. Go over to iTunes or Stitcher, drop a review. That helps me get visibility. A lot of times what happens is once people who would be interested in my podcast hear it, they stick around. So that's what Q4 looks like. Do I know for how we're going to grow exactly? No, I just know that growing is happening. And here's the thing about the word grow and the word of the year. I told you at the beginning, there's the bad side of the word and there's the good side of the word. It's up to you to decide which way you go, right? With that. But grow has really brought some tough lessons to me this year. Pain and discomfort is the first. Pain and discomfort set the foundation for opportunity. If you don't feel pain, it's hard to make yourself push through what you need to push through to succeed. If you're just going along and comfortable, I needed pain this year to grow, and I had a lot of it. We've all had a lot of it. When you're down and out, nobody cares why. Nobody cares why. You might say, well, my wife cares why, or my friends. Okay, so you can talk to them about it. But the whole world doesn't want to hear about why Nicole Sauce is down and out or having a bad day, right? I have bad days like everybody else. But if I focus on sharing with the world about why I'm having a bad day, what I'm not doing is focusing on having a better day. What I'm not doing is growing my business. What I'm not doing is growing my mental health. What I'm not doing is hitting the gym. And the third thing I really grow has made me realize is the struggle is almost always mental, not what you say it is. The struggle you're facing is almost always right up there in your head. It's all in your head. And What that means, it's a very, very unfortunate or fortunate, depending on how you look at it, truth. At the end of the day, it's up to one person because that struggle is mental, and there's only one person who can change the mental struggle. And it's not my psychologist, and it's not my mommy. It's me. I actually think, had we not had all of the power plays, the COVID shutdowns, the rioting, the foundation being set for a cultural shift that's pretty major. Had that not happened this year, I would have grown. I would have comfortably grown my businesses. I would not have traded off and grown one more than the others, but I would have grown if everything had been rosy and peachy. I just would not have grown as fast as we are now growing for this second 6 months of the year because I didn't have the reason. I had the drive. I didn't have the reason. Part of that reason was a little bit of panic about income, not going to lie. At the end of the day, though, it goes back to that, right? It goes back to you. That one person that needs to be there for you to succeed. And all the other bullshit we talk about, all the other bullshit that's out there is just the environment in which you need to prosper, right? It's not a hindrance or a help. It is. And the question you have to start asking yourself is, how can I do something with this environment? Because there's a lot of opportunity in this environment. I think the hardest part about your success is that you are in the driver's seat. So really, guys, drive your best trip. If you like the show and want to support the work we're doing here at Living Free in Tennessee, you can do that. Go over to livingfreeintennessee.com and click on membership, sign up. And if you do that today, tomorrow, you can go to the cybersecurity webinar for free. That sign up, of course, is also at livingfreeintennessee.com in the upper right-hand corner. The other way you can support me is by getting your coffee at Holler Roast. For those of you who supported my Kickstarter, I've been making some little videos. Like I did a victory lap holding the sign that Sue sent me. And, underneath it all, though, I'm thankful for a lot of things. The number of personalities and people who went above and beyond to just let their audiences know that this was going on is astounding. It's people I didn't even know were paying attention to me, by the way. And the amount of support I've gotten from y'all, both in like telling me when there were typos on the page that I needed to fix and giving me ideas. Amy, donating her digital books, and Tim donating an advising session, and SOE giving us all of that really cool equipment, or I don't know if you call it gear. Gear is a better word. The survivalist boxes, all of that stuff. People donating time to do the coffee with a celebrity perk. All of it's been just awesome. All of the backers have been encouraging. When we flipped over 30,000, I started getting emails and messages. I could barely think straight because it was like, oh, I have to answer somebody else. I'm completely flabbergasted by how far this went. And it's not that I didn't think I could do it. It's maybe part of me did think I could. It's mental, right? It's just seeing all of that energy and having it in a positive way rather than like my pig died, so I need help sort of thing. I mean, like part of that's part of it. And then just knowing how much you believe in me and my ability to do it has been a big humbling experience. So thanks for that. With that, guys, go out, make it a great week. Okay, YouTube, I'm done. Jaggy, you get the award for the most comments. Yeah. Yeah, it's been I've had a hard time getting podcasts and live recording of them out. Like I'm recording at weird times of day. And sometimes it takes me about an extra half hour to do the YouTube recording and then all of the other stuff. So I appreciate you guys on the live stream today, giving me comments, and Jaggy, thanks for believing in me. It's it's been a really humbling time. The amount of hours that Tactical and Nighthawk have put in on this are insane. I have no idea what I'm doing in return for that, but I'm sure I'll figure out something over time. But those guys like disassembled the cover over my roasting camper, moved my roasting camper, got the ground ready for the building. We're there the whole day. The building was there. Nighthawk spent all day yesterday helping Ken put the roof back on. Tactical and Nighthawk are right out there doing stuff. I mean, it's been crazy here. So, and yes, Samantha, that's because they are awesome. Everybody's been just really supportive, and I don't know. Somebody keeps saying I need to become a crowdfunding advisor. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I got lots on my plate right now. Anyway, thanks for joining the live stream. I am leaving in like half an hour. So I'm going to try to get this up to the podcast. If not, let people know on social. They can watch the podcast. They can watch me get interrupted by Tactical, and then they can watch the rest of the podcast on YouTube. Guys, have a great day. Pay them in bacon.